Hello and welcome back to OJS for Editors. In the previous class, we saw how the editor, Chinedu, responds to a submission by deciding whether it is obviously unsuitable for the journal and by checking the metadata entered by the author when she submitted her paper. In this video, we'll look at assigning a section editor to oversee the peer review and editing process. In our simplified example here, the African Journal of Scholarly Communication has only one editor and only one section editor, whereas a real journal could have any number of either. Kafui, whom we met earlier, is the section editor for the African Journal of Scholarly Communication. She's hardworking and is good at coordinating the work of others, so Chinedu knows he can count on her to help bring the issues of the journal out on time and with a high level of quality. You may recall from the earlier workflow overview lesson that the section editor generally assists in the managing of the peer review process and makes the editorial decision for submissions in consultation with the editor. She also oversees the editing stage if the submission is accepted for publication. Let's see now how Chinedu assigns Kafui as the section editor for Fatima's submission in OJS.
To assign Kafui as the section editor for an article, Chinedu goes to the submission summary page where we finished the previous module. To assign a section editor to a submission, he uses the Add Section Editor link. Note that there is also the option on this page to add himself as the section editor. Next, he will see a selection list where he can choose a section editor by clicking Assign. OJS will automatically generate a form email so that Chinedu can notify the section editor, Kafui, that an article has been assigned to her. This form email is created by the journal manager, but the editor is free to alter it before sending it. Note that OJS saves the editor time by automatically pulling in details like the submission title. If you're interested in learning more about the form emails in OJS, Module 14 of the OJS for Journal Managers course covers the steps involved in setting these up. Back on the submission summary page, the editor can see who the submission has been assigned to. By default, OJS sets this role to overseeing peer review and editing. This is the division of labor we'll assume in this course. However, in practice, your journal's editorial board will establish the exact role of the section editor, and so OJS gives you the option of unchecking the editing box if the section editor will only oversee peer review. Under submission status, Chinedu can also see that the submission has automatically been moved to the next stage of editing in review. The task of assigning a section editor is now complete.
Thanks, Joe. Now, let's consider a slightly different scenario. Imagine that Chinedu is getting too many submissions to deal with one by one. He now wants all the submissions to go directly to the section editor without having to do anything himself. How can he do this? The answer is Chinedu needs to work with the journal manager. The journal manager needs to set up a new journal section, such as research articles, book reviews, or commentary, and assign each section editor to that section. It's important to note that only the journal manager has permission to carry out this task in OJS. You can learn more about it in the OJS for Journal Managers course on this website. Once this change has been made, all submissions will now bypass Chinedu and go directly to the appropriate section editor, saving him a lot of time.
Setting up the journal this way, Chinedu will still be able to follow the progress of each submission, but he no longer needs to manually assign the section editor. When he looks up the submission in review, he will simply see that the section editor has been assigned. In this case, Kafui's initials appear under SE for section editor. It's important to keep in mind with this setup that the section editor will then also be responsible for checking the submission like we saw the editor do in the previous module. The editor would need to communicate with the section editor about this change in their responsibilities, as well as what criteria to use for rejecting unsuitable submissions before peer review.
Thanks, Joe, and thanks everyone for watching. See you next time.
Ilelelo benela iye. Ilelelo